This is Naoki Yoshida,
This is Fern Hall.
and you are listening to Aetheryte Radio.
Aetheryte Radio.
Here we go!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Aetheryte Radio, Gamerscape's Final Fantasy XIV podcast. I'm FusionX, and joining me today we have Zenidra and Aldino.
It's me.
That's
And him.
true.
And that guy. Am I putting that probably that
people.
direction?
I don't know. Just someone. Yeah. Okay.
It's always reversed, except when it's not.
Yeah,
I got it.
See, Bryn's not here this week. He's got some family stuff going on. Nothing serious, just he's taking care of some stuff. So yeah,
When
so
you
we
got
have
babies, the babies
an absence. I figured I'd be a little nicer. I wouldn't damn him this week. We've done that in the past.
I'm over
so
here
we're
all by
just-
myself. It's like a boys and girls club, separate.
You're hanging
Wow.
out. You're hanging out with the cactar.
Mm-hmm.
With,
I don't
with
see a
the,
cactar.
the,
Cactars are
the
cool.
smoky cactar.
Okay, now I see it. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Does it mean I'm a spell? I'm a blue mage spell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and it
forgot
takes.
to wear blue. Only Charles wore blue.
You know, it,
Papa blue.
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about wearing my Scarlet Witch / Red Mage shirt,
Oh,
but you
yeah.
don't really see much of it anyway. So I'm like,
Exactly.
what's the? I mean, I am wearing like one of my FanFest shirts, but whatever.
I have a blue shirt I could have put on.
I always like dress for streams, but it doesn't matter because you never see the damn
Yeah.
shirt. Anyway,
Yep.
so this is the Blue Mage show. We're gonna talk about Blue Mage a lot today. We were gonna talk a little bit about initial impressions last week. We ran a little longer than we were planning, so we didn't really do anything. Before we get into that, though, Paris FanFest schedule is up. So if you like art and cosplay and glamour, you're in luck. Not a lot of there's no battle panel, there's no lore panel, but this I feel like is the way that Frankfurt went last round as well. They did an art
Right.
panel, and so
I think you're
yeah,
right,
it's I think it's a regional thing. It must be a regional thing. So Saturday,
Fusion's like, and I'm like, what? That sounds good.
I mean, look, like Frankfurt last time around, right, was awesome because there was the Fat Chocobo cosplay, and when they went to talk to the person, they had to shove the mic in the beak so that you could. It was great. It was great. So here's how this is going to work. All times here are going to be Pacific. So the keynote address is going to be next Saturday at 1 a.m. So I mean, they're on the other side of the planet. What do you want, right? So that's 1 a.m. to 2:45 a.m. We will be trying to live tweet that, and we'll have the write-up summary up as soon as we can. After that, development panel, which is going to be at 4 a.m. to 5:30. Glamour contest will be 6 to 6:30. Cosplay contest 7:30 to 8:30, and then there is a piano concert with Benjamin Nuss and Susan Calloway. That'll be from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Obviously, we won't get that. And then for those of you keeping track, from noon to 1 to whatever, we'll be live, of course, talking about the keynote. So make sure to tune in for that if you're not exhausted from staying up all night watching everything else. Sunday, this will be February 3rd. The live letter is going to start at 1 a.m. and go to 2:30. There will be a Rosine question time, which hopefully isn't full of horrible, horrible questions. That'll start at 3:30 to 4:30 a.m. Maybe we'll get an
Calling
update.
people out.
Maybe we'll
we
get
did
an
okay
update
in
about
A.
the umbrella. I'm still waiting to hear about that umbrella mount.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
When?
Frankfurt is when it was mentioned. I mean, this would be a great time to follow up on the umbrella.
Mary Poppins. Like,
Mary
that would be a
Poppins.
good
it came out.
Mary Poppins just came out. It's timely.
I mean-
Give us like a, do a Disney tie. And you guys are friendly because of Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Reach out to Lin-Manuel, get like a Hamilton orchestrion role. Like, let's do this. Let's just go
please,
full on collaborations here.
Can we?
Now I'm
please?
in.
Right?
You said Kingdom Hearts, and we were like, Hamilton?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, why not? I mean, it makes sense. You get the ultimate battle against you and Elidibus at the end of Stormblood. Hamilton and Lin-Manuel just walks out, does the history has its eyes on you thing, and then the calamity happens, and it's just
This is now
It's
a
great.
Hamilton podcast. Enjoy.
It happens.
I mean,
That's the real title of today's episode. It was supposed to be like the Blue Mage one. Nah,
Right.
This is not Hamilton podcast.
tangents. It's what we
Yeah.
do now. We do
That's
tangents.
exactly.
My mom won the Hamilton lottery twice.
What?
What?
Twice.
How is that possible?
Share.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the first time, I'm like, man. And then the second time, she doesn't even mention it. She just casually posts on Facebook, oh, our seats are on the side of the third row this time. I'm like, What the hell? Like,
Why?
come on! Why didn't you send me a message? I would have gotten a flight in a day.
Yeah.
I would be out there. It's not even in Seattle anymore. Anyway, Ori's requested time is 3:30 to 4:30. Glamour contest results
like,
5:15 to 5:25. The Feast Regional Championships are 5:30 to 7:30 a.m. And then, of course, the Primals live concert, which we won't get, is 9:30 to 11 a.m. Pacific. So that is the Paris Fan Fest schedule. Obviously, we're going to get some good stuff out of the keynote. I'm sure we'll get a few nice tidbits out of the live letter as well. Keynote, we'll get a job.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple areas. Maybe Beast Tribe. Maybe a raid. I think job is the one thing I think people are most curious about right now.
Right.
Because I think we already kind of know what one is going to be. But we also don't at the same time. It's like, okay, yes, it's a gunblade, but a gunblade can be many things.
Yeah.
And I think depending on what role they give that, that'll set the tone.
Right.
For what
the
the
whole
next,
rest of
for what not dancer will be, right? Like if that's the order they do it in.
Right.
So that's my biggest question in the raid, but yeah,
that'll be keep us hanging on that gunblade class and just be like, yeah, we know we teased it, but here's the other one. You gotta wait till Japan for the last one.
That's an interesting question because
I would prefer that.
Yeah, me too, actually, but
because it's in the trailer.
Yeah, it's in there.
And I mean, we've already seen it in a sense, but at the same time, like if I had to try and like regionalize the jobs, I feel like whatever has the gunblade would be more suited for Japan. Yeah, in my mind. So I don't,
I think so.
Anybody's guess. But I feel like if
we know that the other one's going to be a gunblade, and we're all pretty sure that the third one is dancer.
Yeah,
I would like for them to confirm dancer first, so that we know more sooner.
Get the one that we're unsure of, and then we'll be like, oh yeah, and this one, surprise, it's the one that you totally didn't know about since November.
Because we got to start the negotiations for raid groups soon. Like, oh, dancer is coming. We got to,
I'm a healer. You got Astro. I get dancer.
Exactly.
Quote.
Screw cards. I just want to dance. I
just want to dance.
No, redacted. You got to be Astro. I get to be dancer.
So that's that. We'll be trying to get all the information from that up as soon as we can, and of course, next Saturday we'll be talking all about the keynote and all the new stuff. So make sure to tune in for that because we're weekly now because we're crazy.
I'm honest, because I'm so tired.
We had a patch 4.5 hotfix the other day here. So when Blue Mage went up, there were some issues with Chocobo companions. They've adjusted that. So now, regardless of what job you're on, the Chocobo will get that XP buff to match what it was getting with Blue Mage. So if you're one of those people that for some reason hasn't leveled their Chocobo to max through the various expansions that we've gotten already, now's your... Really?
I love how you just stopped talking.
Friends. I don't need a Chocobo.
Well, and now in 5.0 we'll have trust, so you also won't need a Chocobo. So
yeah, can my trust ride the Chocobo?
Your trusts, right? Get ready. Are your dungeon Chocobos?
Oh boy, yeah.
One day.
Remember when they said we'd get a Magitech companion?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Remember that one?
People that level their Chocobos either have a lot of time on their hands, really like Chocobos, or don't have friends to get instant pops in dungeons.
Right.
I'm not calling you guys out. I'm just saying sometimes you're trying to play and your friends aren't around. But, when expansions come out, I tend to plan this stuff with my friends. So we're getting right into those dungeons. Fair. And I don't level my Chocobo.
That's fair. Never have.
You gotta do it for the barding.
That's true. I mean,
gotta do it for the Chocobo endgame. So they did that. They fixed that. Mind Blast and Glower are now guaranteed to learn from. That's Tamtara and Armvale.
Which is a
great idea. It only took me 4 tries. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I think the only reason they did it is because it's required for quests on Blue Mage. Yeah. Which I get, but like... the whole point is to like have to potentially go through multiple times. Yeah. Like I don't Why these spells? I don't understand. Like, they're not hard to get. I got mine with a max of like 4 runs each.
Yeah,
I didn't have to do any more than that.
So.
Yeah, like I don't.
Tamtara is so easy. Gather everything up until you can't gather anything else, and then murder it.
Yeah. I don't understand like why. This is where they decided to give the hand me out on Blue Mage, right? Like, this isn't hard. Increase the drop rate on primals, right? Yeah. Like on the stuff that actually takes forever. This is just whatever. You're still learning. It's good to do it. You know, it's low level stuff. Do it in groups. Like, that's fine. I don't think anyone had a problem with that unless there was one person that was like 1 for 100 on Tamtara, and I doubt it. So there you go. They've also made a tweak to the server backup function, so it'll display a loading icon now and a message when the recovery data list is displayed. So if you've been backing up your macros and everything like that, you'll see that change.
I'm like, I'm gonna press this button, and then it gives you the warning like, hey, you should really go to the folder and back it up yourself first. And I'm like, yeah, I ain't got time for that. I'm just gonna play
or I could use the more convenient option that you've added because it's more convenient.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot on my laptop on the couch with my wife. She reactivated, and it's been great. I can be on my desktop and be like, all right, I want to switch over. I'll save my stuff, go over to the laptop, and then, you know, day or two later, I can go on the laptop, upload that back up, go to the desktop. Like, it's great. I think it's great. Yeah. It's a great feature.
It's a great idea. Yeah.
I added it right before I got a new computer, so that was real nice.
Oh yeah. Perfect timing.
I mean, I used to back up the folder, but why
me too.
anymore? Like, this is great. I mean, even 11 had this. Every time I install 11 again and go back, load my stuff from server. Granted, I don't have like the 20,000 pieces of gear swap in those macros, but it's better than nothing, and it gets the job done. So
God, that you just reminded me of my life as a roommate.
Not just 1 gear set, not just 2, about 6 gear sets.
A gear set for every element.
so many scripts.
Plus darkness or light.
Yeah.
Don't forget your OBs and your staves and
sleeping. Make sure you have one that helps with your sleeping.
Mine was crazy because I would do Dragoon and I would do Dancer, so I had like the Waltz potency or extent Samba duration, or I'd have the Wyvern HP set, which is the greatest hodgepodge of I bought this all at like a garage sale, because it's like you have like home mom boots, like your like AF body plus, it's terrible. Like it's just, it looks absolutely absurd. But I had it, and boy could I heal on Dragoon if I needed to. I actually main healed a Sky Farm party once on Dragoon because our white mage couldn't show up, and then I had to yell at him because somebody died and I couldn't raise.
Just amazing.
Oh, memories. So that's all that.
Yeah.
And all those lovely tangents.
Now
we're actually going to talk about Blue Mage. So how far have you guys gotten on Blue Mage?
We're both 50.
You're both 50.
I think I have maybe a half of my spells. I don't have any of the extreme primal ones. I just haven't had time for them. But
so you've got like 25-ish then?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I think I'm at 30 because
I've been hanging out. I've been hanging out on Discord while people are getting them though, so it's been interesting to listen to.
I've got mine at 50. I have 33. I want to say I remember getting 30 and then a couple more because I remember being like 30. Yes, it's time for another totem, and I go to the NPC. I'm like, all right, let's see what we got. And he's like, you get nothing.
Yeah,
I'm like,
enjoy.
Thank you. See, it's punishing as it gets harder.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's good.
That's at 50, and it was like, okay, it's time to do the quest, since I probably should have been doing that all the way, but it's so easy to get to 50 so quickly.
Yeah. It
really
how
did you guys level? Because there was an issue with leveling. I'm curious to hear what you guys did.
So up to 40, I did it completely normally. I was just running around killing stuff, having a grand old time with my chocobo. Like having good times with the bro.
Doing the thing.
Yeah. And then at 40, someone was like, hey, you want to just level that up real quick? So it's like, cool, we got in the group.
Yeah.
We had a white mage somewhere, and we just went through and murdered stuff, basically.
Actually, it was Paladin.
It was Paladin, that's right. Yeah.
No, I leveled to 30, maybe 2. just getting spells and stuff. And then a friend of mine was like, "Hey, we're gonna just go out to, where is it? Cape Westwind?
Cape Westwind,
and kill high level stuff. And so on his paladin is gonna Myler on his paladin is gonna follow us around and kill stuff after you've claimed it."
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
So, yeah,
I soloed the entire way with my Chocobo, which was super frustrating once I started to get into the 40s.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I was like 40s. I'm like 40s. What? It's been interesting going through and doing this because I'm like, where are mobs of this level?
Right.
Like I don't know.
It's not a thing we've ever had to know in this game before.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, Northern Thanalin. There's also the hunt mob up there that you learn Loom from. So I'm like, I'll go up there. So the exploit, right, that we had, still have. If you kill any enemy on a job, you can then switch to any other job and get XP on that job. The amount of people that I had basically like hit my mobs right before I pulled them, just one shot of them was absurd.
Right.
And this isn't like even one of those like, okay, I'm just like camping in this area. Like these people are all over the northern part of Northern Thanalin, up by the Castrum or by Praetorium. They're just killing everything. And it got to the point where I actually went up to Earth's Fount because there were too many people in Northern Thanalin. I couldn't find a damn mob. Like it's, I'd get one here, one there, and then I'd think I'd have another, and some guy comes along, hits it with something, just moves on to the other. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't actually know how to do it until I saw people doing it, and I'm like, oh, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, and so
I don't feel like doing that.
No, and it's
they didn't want us to.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
I mean, Square Enix said basically, look, this is a thing. It's been in the game for a while. We've known about it. We didn't do anything about it because it's never been hasn't been a need to change it. And they said it is considered an exploit, but because it was our failure not to do anything about it, we won't penalize people for doing it. By putting out this message, they told people, hey, here's an easy, quick way to level Blue Mage.
Exactly.
And this is, and I'm gonna go off a little bit, so bear with me here.
That's fine.
They've known about this. Yeah, right? Get ready. They've known about this thing for a while. They didn't do anything about it. We had, this may be a stretch, but I'm going there. We had the White Ravens. Nobody was like, oh, this could be an issue. We had the Scarf of Wondrous Wit that came out. Oh, that might be the Scarf of Wondrous Wit is still being given out as contest prizes. Like, what the hell? There's like somebody in charge of like overseeing things. Yeah. And they're not doing their job. Oversight is getting sloppy on this game. And with the XP stuff, Mighty Guard, you can use Mighty Guard before you go into the Masked Carnival, and it won't count against your scores or your like the, trying to think of what they're called,
the challenges or whatever. Yeah,
challenges or that you can unlock or whatever by using certain things. Like, how did nobody say, oh, that's an issue? Just going right over their heads. Somebody's not paying attention, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because it strips all of those. If I remember correctly, when you go into a raid, because like I think if you have protect outside of a raid, you go into a raid, it's gone. But I don't remember actually.
It keeps tank stances though, doesn't it?
Yes, I do believe.
And that's the problem. I think Mighty Guard is a tank stance, and so that's an issue that they.
It depends on the thing. Like if you go into a dungeon, it doesn't take protect away.
That's right. And I guess I don't know what they classified this as internally. It must be a dungeon because it's just an instance, Like
it's
I
duty,
guess yeah. It just doesn't have the raid flag or whatever, which is I don't know. I guess maybe they need it, maybe they don't. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's just kind of like
I don't know, like,
somewhere is missing stuff.
I mean,
they go ahead.
It's a good strategy. I mean, whatever.
If you want to,
These particular ones are about strategy. They want you to pick your spells. They want you to notice that some of them are like, oh, this works better with other poisons, etc., stuff like that. So you could almost make the case that using Mighty Guard before you go in is kind of a strategy, but
right. It's I don't know.
It's like a sneaky thing.
Changing jobs, though.
No,
I would consider that an exploit. I think if you're casting it before in order to clear something, knowing full well that it won't count against you, even though it's active. I think that's an issue. I think that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. If there's some competitiveness with it, like if you could do that, and let's say Blue Mage could do PvP and Mighty Guard wasn't a PvP action, and you use it, you go into PvP and you have it, that's 100% no.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
That would be an issue, but you can't take in Blue Mage into anything worth a damn, so it's not an issue. So they made that easy. Maybe that's why Blue Mage is a limited job, because they're tank stances and the way that they're on before entering things, it's just whatever. Can we get like drops, like podcasts have? Because I needed the MLG horn, because that was just a sick burn. That was I'm sorry. It's like if you could take it into anything worth a damn. Tune in next week where Charles just buys an air horn and just in the middle of the show.
Oh God.
No.
Neighbors are like, what the hell?
What is that?
All I have is this.
Yeah. My button is different.
Does it say on if you turn it over? Does it?
No.
Aw, it should have a gyro in there. That'd be great.
See, my button is that one. I don't press it.
Oh boy.
A lot.
Oh boy. Oh boy. All right.
Anyway.
I was going to say, I think that comparing the two things is a stretch. I'm going to say yes.
Sure. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna not I don't think I'm being white knighty in saying this, but they just released the job, and no matter what job you put out, you're probably gonna have missed something in anything they've put out.
I will admit, having been the one that brought up this thing, that's completely fair as well.
That's
yeah.
It's just one of those things where
mistakes will be made. Yeah.
Diligence, it's just.
And the leveling, while it does suck, because it screws over other people, the leveling is the least important part of the job too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, like I said, it's not a competition. There's no realm first. There's no, if it was, you have to clamp down on all this stuff. Like you have to. So I don't know. It once again, like you said, it's like, well, it's just throwaway content anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really the other problem is this isn't a job; it's content.
Right. Right.
And the more you get kind of down this rabbit hole, the more obvious that is, and that's kind of a bummer. So let's get into spells. Let's get into spells. So there's 49 spells in the game right now. You learn them from a variety of places,
which is cool.
Mobs in the field, mobs in specific dungeons, primals, some you get from quests. What do you guys think about learning the spells, the approach that they've taken, and how they guide or don't guide you into collecting them?
You go ahead.
I mean, it's I don't want to say it's interesting because that's so vague, but
it's so interesting.
I don't think it's as hard as some people maybe initially or even now think it is, because people already have guides up for it. So people have already figured it out across the board. If you have paid attention to mobs and what they do as you've been leveling anything else in the game, then you have a pretty good idea of where most of this stuff is going to be. And to add on top of that, like, not everybody has played Final Fantasy before, but if you have, and you're familiar with Blue Mage at all, you know what some of their spells are already.
Yeah.
So you know exactly where to go.
For me, starting off, like, obviously we have guides. Guides were out before Blue Mage was out because of the way that they did the update. If I didn't have a full list of spells, I would have hated this. They tell us at a time, right? They're like, we give you the spell book, and it will tell you the area where you learn whatever this ability is. That's all you get, the area, not a mob type, not the name of the spell, just the area, and that sucks. I mean, it's like go to Northern Thanalan, and like what do you want me to do there? Like,
some of the things is like they had an entirely new mob, so that's a really big hint.
Like, right. But then you have like the hunt mob in Northern Thanalan. Like, that would never have occurred to me. Like, he can do a thing where he lurches forward, and you can learn that. Like, I would never in a million years have guessed that.
Yeah, it's also worm garbage because it's like you can walk that far.
Yeah, right. Yeah, in the time it clicks to like hit the button and then click on where you want to jump, you can just like walk, not even run, just walk to where you're like.
It's cool. I like the flavor of it. That's the thing that I get from most of these spells. I love the flavor. I love the old school Blue Mage feel. And yeah, it's a Easter egg hunt if you want it to be, because it's an MMO. Just like in the original games.
I mean, you could not look at a list if you want to torture yourselves.
Yeah, but... I mean, if you want, you've got options. You've got either I'll do it the old school way and figure it out, or you've got the internet. Let's do this.
You know what I've actually really liked about all the Blue Mage hunting is that a lot of my friends who don't normally take the initiative to go and start groups and do stuff actually are for this.
Right.
Like, oh, we're going to go get Shiva's ice bow thingamabob. You want to come? Well, I'm working. I can't really. No, just stay in the dungeon. It's fine. Oh, yeah. Okay.
This isn't hard content anymore. You can just stand. Mechanics? Nah. Just remember to kill a nail or something in Ifrit. You'll be fine. Like,
as long as you're alive. As long as you're alive at the end, you count. I've been 5% or whatever.
Right, I've been saying for years somebody needs to make a new guides for all the primals on this is how you have to play it if you go in at 60 or 70. Like, because there's still stuff you need to do. Like, that's such a huge... I think if anybody wants to do guides out there, you're like, I want to get into this Final Fantasy XIV content creation, do Primal Extreme guides going in unsynced. Mm-hmm. You would get hits on that. I think a lot of people would like that.
Self-plug.
There you go.
I wrote 2 guides recently.
We have guides up for Gimlet Dark and the Orbone Monastery. They're on the front page right now. Go make sure to check those out.
If you're confused how to kill the Thunder God without totally screwing up, it's in there. Videos and everything.
Good old Thunder God. So one of the things that Yoshida talked about at FatFest, when he announced that Blue Mage is a limited job, one of the things that I feel like emphasis was put on is he gave us this kind of story where he's like, all right, I'm the leader of a raid group. Mr. Atma wants to play Blue Mage. And so we get together one night, we're about to go, and I'm like, hey, do you have this spell? And he goes, no, I haven't learned it yet. Well, then you're out of the raid group. This idea of what if a Blue Mage doesn't have all the spells, then he can't participate, like he's missing stuff. That's why it's a limited job, because you would have issues where people don't have all the spells. My first Tamtara run on Blue Mage, I was the only person that didn't have Thousand Needles. Even though looking at the mobs and stuff and what level Tamtara is, it felt weird to have it then. I was the only one. So having this as this kind of, this is why it's a limited job, this is an invalid excuse, because what he said he didn't want to happen is happening, regardless of if it's a full job or a limited job.
Yeah, but there's a difference between going into a raid and going into Tamtara.
Right. I mean,
especially unsynced.
But I mean, with the way, and it's all about, even with raids, even with dungeons, it's all about the community's adopted and like what they've figured out is the strategy.
Yeah.
Right? Tamtara, you just get everything together and you just spam 1,000 needles and it's dead. I didn't have that.
Did it hurt the dungeon? Like, did it actually slow you guys down? Probably not.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit.
Maybe.
I mean,
you had Acorn Bomb, right? So you use Acorn Bomb for everybody else, and then everybody else uses.
Right. I mean, so it's one of those things, right, where it's, for me personally, when I went in there and everyone had that, I was like, oh, and I felt like I wasn't contributing. Yeah. Right. And so that's an issue. And I think the problem is because there's so much freedom of when you can learn blue spells, I think that's an issue, because so many of them you can just learn at level 1.
Yeah, you can just go and get it.
So like a level
big
20
enough group.
Right. So like 1,000 Needles I think is technically like 2024, something like that from the Cactars. You can learn it whenever you want.
Yeah, I went and got it at 20 because I was like, I probably could kill them. Yeah, you know what? I'll learn it, and I got it, and then I did Tamtara with it. as the only one who had it, and everyone else just using sticky tongue to move them out of it, which was fun. That's a fun thing to have happen, but that's okay.
And I think that's the other part of my other issue too is with Blue Mage. It's not even Blue Mage for from like 1 until like I don't know what, like 37. It's 1,000 Needles Mage.
Did you have bomb toss?
I did.
Yeah.
That's when I went through and did it by myself. When I pulled the giant packs, I was using bomb toss instead because the damage actually ended up being more than 1,000 needles because 1,000 needles splits between the mobs. So if there's 20 mobs following me,
but if you have everybody doing it, it's a group thing. But then like from like 37 to 50, you're like Ram's voice mage. Like it's like I don't know. Like there is the freedom to use some of these abilities, but some of them are so situational.
That's the point, though.
Yeah,
well,
you know.
Yeah, I mean, like
if you think about the carnival, that is 100% the point. They want you to figure out, based on the description, which situational spells you need to combine to win.
Yeah, like I love the Tonberry stab because it's got like half the recast time, and if that'll overall like over time add up more. And if you pull them into a sticky tongue and stun them, the potency will go up for that first jab. So that's really nice. But like then you have these abilities like Missile, which is super Missile. Awesome. Yeah. Missile's great when it hits, which is like it does half the mob's damage. If it misses a few times, I get that.
That's fine.
What sucks is with Blue Mage, they're like, here's all these spells. Just go out and go nuts. Missile doesn't work on a lot of mobs.
Yeah.
So why would you introduce these spells? Be like, hey guys, Blue Mage, and then have it have zero effect on so many of these bosses.
But you always have to figure out what bosses.
Well, and it's not even
spells affect them or abilities.
Yeah, right, but it's not even just Carnival though. Like it's like older content, like some stuff, and it just.
But what I'm saying is on any job, yes, on Blue Mage it is more often because you have more debuffing spells, more spells that do things like cut HP in half. But on any job, you have to figure out what will work on mobs. Like as a bard or a machinist, you have all the shots that bind or silence or whatever. Sometimes they work on bosses, and sometimes they don't.
There's a big difference with this though. It's not a debuff or a buff. It's just a spell, and that the way that Final Fantasy XIV has trained us. There is no elemental wheel. There are no mob weaknesses or resistances, and any spell that deals damage can miss, but will always be accepted unless you're in like a weird phase where or whatever.
Like they're invulnerable or something.
Yeah, and I think that's my biggest problem is
all
of a sudden in this game now we have odd mob behavior, and this is kind of bleeding into the carnival a little bit. We have all these weird mob behaviors. We have them all of a sudden being weak to certain elements, and it's odd.
Yeah, it is strange. It's weird because you're right, all the jobs have these things that you have to learn, but Blue Mage, because of the way that they were like, yeah, it's so crazy, we can't put it into raids. It's so crazy, guys. It's gonna be great. And then you get it, and you're like, well, that's not that crazy.
Not as crazy as promised.
I mean, if you had a group of 8 Blue Mages, and you're like, hey, everyone just cast Missile on Twintania, probably gonna die. Like I don't know if it even works on that. Dead.
And I think
it's still kind of crazy, but
and I think at this point, what's the problem with that?
I don't know.
And that kind of brings me in before we fully go into Mass Carnival is
the grinds actually. If I can interrupt. In the case of something like Enkidu, if you get it past a certain point, like if you hit it with something like Missile, well, theoretically not, because that's where you get Missile, but if you hit it with something like Missile and it knocks it to half HP or lower, it will never do the ability that you want to get from it. So that's one problem.
But that's part of the puzzle, though.
That's a strategy thing. That's not a core like my ability doesn't work at all on this. That's just a watch how you're hitting it, and that's something that applies to every fight, especially in like the primal fights. You don't want to get if you go too fast, you'll wipe on some of the primals.
Yeah.
Back to guides.
Back to guides.
Right. The drop rate on some of these primal spells is just terrible. I think I went at least 60 or 70 just on Shiva alone. Right.
I've seen people with their counts over 100, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, and so you have to, like, who thought this was a good idea?
Well, you know, I don't.
The people who
I don't feel
know
bad.
what else to add to the end of patch content, blah blah blah.
You know, I don't feel
Expansion.
bad for
Words.
people who have taken 100 tries, because you know what the drop rate for the Shiva ability on Summoner is? Zero.
Zero.
It's, zero. There's none.
Yeah.
Are
you know I had to do it.
bitter,
you know I was
my
gonna say
friend?
it. No,
That's
not
fair.
at all. Just not zero. No, I am.
Yeah, Silent Eclipse
I'm very salty.
in the chat here saying, yeah, but are you going on 8 blue mages? No, and why would you?
Yeah.
Because that's just going to take even more time. The way that the drop rates work on these is, yes, if somebody in the party learns the spell, everybody in the party learns the spell.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's rolling 8 times. It still rolls once. It's just for everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that's lame. But
Yeah,
it's
if it was,
I think
you know,
my
like
friends were going
one
like
of the-
6 and 7 blue mages, and then one or two support 70s.
yeah,
usually for a lot of stuff, you want a tank, you want a healer that can raise. And
Yeah,
that's it.
and then the
That's
rest
all you need.
will
If you,
raise, yeah.
a lot of people have been doing like 4 and 4. You know, the healer tank 2 DPS or just whatever 70s.
yeah,
And then
switching off
they'll
in the
swap.
middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, which is
it's a
fine.
great
And
idea.
Yoshida talked about the idea of, you know, switching and having people learn, and that's fine. What's not fine is having to go back in and re-grind all this 2.0 content that we've already done this on like 2 or 3 times at this point.
Well, you know, it just makes me feel better, because I resisted all of the ponies and the dogs and the things
Yeah.
like that. And hey,
Right,
maybe I'll
like-
get them now.
Like, I realized I said this. I'm over here like, I finally got my nightmare mount.
That's true, right?
I legit forgot that was even a thing until it dropped when I was running stuff. But it's like, you know,
That feels like what it's for, you know, like
yeah,
you
it's
get
just
the ability.
you know, it's we talk about, and I think we've talked about this a couple times, at
I
least
think
in
it's-
regards.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's. I'm gonna call you silly. I think it's silly to be mad, or maybe not mad, but
Yeah.
it's silly to suggest that it's bad to go back and grind through these things when the other half of the time people are like, "Oh, this dead content. We need to find a way to use it." Well, they did.
Yeah, they did. They did.
But is it reusing it though? It's like if I'm going in, I don't know. It doesn't.
Not only that,
seem...
if they'd add something new, you'd have to learn that. You already know these fights. You know how to cheese these fights. In fact,
I mean,
Yeah.
it's true. It's
That's
true.
fair. It's, you know, it's just like I'm going in and I'm bashing my head against this same fight that I've always bashed. You know, like it's like going in doing Shiva Extreme. Like when this fight originally came out, people were I remember farming Shiva Extreme when it first came out. I don't do a lot of extreme stuff, but I remember doing Shiva when it first came out. I did that like forever.
Oh yeah.
And then, you know, it's a combination of weapons and mounts at the time. And
Yeah.
now, you know, you run it for journals in 3.0. And now you have Blue Mage. It's like, hey, you want to run this fight another like 80 plus times to learn a spell? Like, not really. In all honesty, like,
Yeah.
I get that it's important to be
You know
able to
what
go
you
back
should
to
do?
old content, but it's not like grinding and RNG drops it's not content. It's not fun content. And I think when you look at this job and the spells that they're giving it, and it's like, Blue Mage, like, just go out and just wreck stuff. And that's great until you have to grind out the last few spells that come from primals that have just a crazy, horrible drop rate. And then it becomes the exact opposite of fun.
I mean, that's true. That's very true.
I don't know. Like I said, I haven't been doing a whole bunch because I've been busy. But like listening to my friends do it, they do sound like they're legitimately having fun. And sometimes they bomb on these fights because they'll go in with like 7 blue mages and a healer, and then somebody takes one wrong misstep, and then everything just falls over, and they're laughing the whole
and
time
you know what it
about
is?
how
What
silly
it-
it was.
The issue, I think, is with in regards to the primal fights, you have to make your own fun because it's so damn boring. You have to go in with
You have to
high
make your own
spirits
fun.
and goofing around because it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
here we
I've
are,
heard of people,
run 37. Nobody's gotten anything yet.
Yeah. Well, I have heard of people who create groups and then do like 4 and 4. Forget it, and then a couple of those will be like, "Well, I gotta go. Sorry, bye."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
I don't
not
feel like
okay.
that. Yeah.
Zoella in the chat says it might have helped if they added blue primal weapons. That's the other thing that really is weird about this job.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Canes?
We have 3 canes for Blue Mage. None of them do anything for attack or stats, and that's such a weird. It's so weird because you look at a job and you look at the amount of work that goes into a job, and you think, Blue Mage probably took more work than a normal job because they have all these different spells. They had to put in all the mobs for it. And then they're like, where can we cut costs? Give it 3 freaking canes, and that's it.
They did tell us from the beginning that the canes weren't going to be important.
Yeah.
And why? Why not? It seems stupid.
To me, it's got to be some balancing thing that it doesn't have weapon damage or doesn't care about weapon damage. That's the only thing that I can imagine, because otherwise, why not give it weapon damage? Like, I just don't know.
And I mean, and you look at the weapons that they give you. I mean, they hand you all this gear. They get, you unlock the job. Here's your full set of armor minus accessories. Here's your cane. You get to 50. Here's your armor. Here's your cane. The thing that really bugs me, Masked Carnival, the rewards. It gives you allied seals, which is okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm not doing 2.0 hunts anymore.
No.
So I appreciate that. I'm not really going to make use of them. I'll unlock mount speeds in 2.0 areas, but it's not going to matter, I mean, and then they give you poetics. So as I was leveling up Blue Mage, I went over to Mordona and I picked up all my Ironworks casting gear with my poetics, upgraded it. Then I get the level 50 quest. It just hands me eye level 130. But it's still rewarding me with poetics. I don't need these for anything. Why would you give me this crap?
Do you have any of your desynthesis stuff leveled?
Yeah.
I don't touch. I haven't touched that. Yeah.
Yeah. That.
If you did, perhaps you could buy things with poetics, or get the jewelry out of Shiva and desynth that.
It feels weird that they're
it's not a great reward. Yeah.
No. Initially, my thought was okay, they'll give you poetics, and then you can get the accessories.
Right.
If you don't have the accessories, or you can get the armor. But then when the armor they just give you is the upgraded eye level of the poetic stuff. It's why bother?
To me, I think that it would. I can't get over the canes. To me, I can't. That is the thing. All of the stuff we talked about Blue Mage, I cannot get over the lack of weapons because it's a glamour job. What is it? At the end, when you have things you want it to look good, you want more canes, you want to go after the Rama cane, you want to go after Titan cane if you're insane, I guess, because none of those Titan weapons look any good. Yeah, I said it.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I mean, the axe is okay. The axe is the best thing, but it's then you would be grinding for the primal abilities and for the weapons, and it would feel better. I don't know why they didn't do that. It just doesn't make any sense.
You got to think about it from a dev point of view.
Yeah.
They probably did reuse some of the animations from mobs, but they also had to make some new animations.
Yeah, it's true.
To have to go back and make a different staff or a different cane for everything. That's more work.
Yeah,
and I guess they might add them in later. Probably
maybe.
not.
Yeah, I guess.
They could have at least let us dye the canes that we do have.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you really want us to go back to the old content? Give us all. Give us
an incentive that's not ourselves punching us in the face 80 times trying to learn.
Go get that weapon. I mean, it would be the ultimate thing to do. It is just the Masked Carnival is great, and you do get a cane for doing the maximum you can do. The super challenge.
And a cool title.
And a cool title, so that's great. But it's there needs to be more incentive, but I guess there doesn't because people are enjoying it. Maybe there just needs to be more incentive for me, and I just don't have it.
And I think at the end of the day, that's kind of what I walk away with. It's the grind is. RNG is not content for me. I know that for an MMO, that ideally, right, you need it.
Yeah,
you need to be able to elongate the content, make it spread it out. For me, RNG is just stupid. It makes things less fun when you have to repeat them for no.
So you want to be able to take those totems and turn them in for your spell,
right? Another great option.
Yeah.
Drops totems, add totems into into 2.0 primals,
Yeah.
and then use them to redeem. You can't buy 2.x primal mounts like
No.
you can all the other mounts. Or if you get 100, which by the way I think has been a stupid number. Hey, you want this new mount and it just doesn't drop? Run it 100 times. That's stupid. That's stupid. I've always hated that number.
I found that the likelihood that you will not get 8 in the time it takes for you to get 100 tomes is very small.
Well,
So,
that's because of the group that we're in, though.
That is
because
true.
we have a static group of 8 people. If you were trying to pug this, good luck.
Oh, right.
Good
Right.
luck. You will get to 100 probably. Maybe. I don't know.
The drop rates on some of these things are just terrible.
Yeah.
And I think overall that makes the job less fun. There's ways they should have designed it to make it more fun, which is disappointing, especially when you look at the job and the way they pitched it. I mean, the storyline of the Blue Mage, which I thought is kind of cool, right? It's from the New World. It's part of the Wallachie tribe, and then they bring it over. And Olda's like, wow, check out this like really cool like stuff from like the natives over there. Let's turn it into a show. Even pushing that, like that's almost like Square Enix being like, yeah, it's just be showy and flashy and just use all this stuff. But then also like just have to grind, and then also some of these spells don't work on certain monsters, and it's just, I don't know.
It's because it's from the New World and Aether, and it doesn't work sometimes. Yes, exactly.
There you go.
You know,
And
it's made in the New World. You learn the missile, but it just doesn't work. In the New World, it'd be 100%. Yeah. Totally.
Oh, I see.
That's what I'm
more
saying.
reason.
I learned it over here though. They may not have missile. They don't have Enkidus in not North America. Eorzea, Heidelin.
Exactly.
But yeah, and it's just, I think the other thing that throws me, especially in the carnival, and I've never been one for kind of like puzzly content. But the biggest issue I have with Mass Carnival is it's not like just go in and fight. It's okay, we are changing literally everything we have taught you about mobs and the way that they've acted over the last like 5 years. Nothing makes sense anymore. And also the elemental wheel is in play. They have weaknesses, they have strengths. And it's just it's weird. Like I get it, but at the same time, from a lore perspective, what? That's my next Koji interview. I'm like, so why do all these mobs in the Mass Carnival suddenly have weaknesses to elements?
And I think...
Did you save your elemental materia?
Yeah. I had forgotten about that.
Oh my god.
I think maybe they're playing up that it's a show. It's like, this is what people expect to see. You know, maybe that's what he's going to say. It's like, this is what people expect to see. So there's like extra, you know, like, I don't know. Yeah, the bomb is made of fire. So you put water on it. And yeah, it puts the bomb out. Cool. That's what people expect. So that's what's going to happen.
I can just like imagine like some beast wranglers like before each carnival. They're like, all right, we're going to like grease this bomb up so he's weak to this element. Sorry, buddy. The bomb's like please don't make us do this. Like it's, I don't know, it's weird. It doesn't make sense to me from a lore perspective.
On us.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's just
exactly.
It's weird. So
where
I'm
are
very
all
mixed.
Koji's like references to The Greatest Showman in the Mass Carnival? Like, where are all those? Because that needs to be there too.
They used up their meme allotment on stereo this time.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, look, we had our Eiffel 65 meme for the
true.
leveling, so
I
can appreciate that.
The real folk blues. Come on, I
had that song stuck in my head all day after I saw it. I was like, oh man. Like, there's some good quest names.
That's some good stuff. Yeah.
Some good achievement names. There's achievement Octopath Traveler that's in there. So there's some good stuff. I think overall though, I'm kind of on it. Like the likelihood is I'll probably join a few more primal farming parties at some point over like the next month before they die out. But I just yeah. I think overall
next time we need an extra person, I'm gonna hit you up now that you're on Aether.
Go for it. Whatever you want to do, let me know. As long as it's
party. Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't have a lot of time to play right now, and when I do, I don't want to do that. But I know in a couple of months, you're gonna have to force people to do it, and I am 100% against that. That's why I don't get the ponies. I don't get the dogs. I just don't want to force people to do this content because, yeah, it's fun when you're in a group. But for me, it feels like I'm forcing you to do it. You know, like even if you're like, yeah, no, it's fine.
You're
it's
crazy.
like, well, you wouldn't be doing
crazy.
This. I don't know.
Every time. We always do a dog farm at the end of an expansion because what else are you going to do?
Right.
Yeah.
And every time we get the 7 and then we're like, Charles, you want? And he's like, no.
Nope. And I'm like, nope, I am not making you kill it one more time for me. Not even possible.
Okay.
I don't want it. I don't. I just don't know why. I just don't. So that's where it's going to end up with me, I believe. Plus, yeah, I'm salty about primal abilities. I'll say it. It's okay. It's all right. Yeah. I'm a summoner. I want all of that cool stuff. And Blue Mage deserves to get it. 100%. But so the summoner. Where's my stuff? I don't know.
I mean, you haven't even gotten Eggy Glamours for the last...
I have given
up. Have you gotten any this expansion? I don't think you've gotten any this expansion. Yeah, like... It's just...
It's never going to happen. And that's okay. Like, don't say it's going to happen. And then don't do it. And then Blue Mage to me is just like... It's great. It's good. People love it. It's okay. There's the primal stuff, but it's like, hey, where's my primal stuff? I do get Akmor. That's cool. That's very cool. You get Bahamut. But that's a summoner is more than just one primal, you know? Like, I don't know. I don't know. That's just my rant about it. But I'm still glad it's here, you know? I'm not super negative. Yeah, so a little bit. A little bit. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's very true.
That's all right.
Yeah. What about you, Zanija?
What about me?
What do you think
you?
About Blue Mage?
I mean, I feel like I've been peppering my opinions in as we've been going along. Like I said, I haven't been able to touch it much. I've been very grateful to my friends who have just been like, whatever, the spot in the party's open. Get in here and tab out and do your work. So they've been helping me stay kept up with everything, but probably in the coming week I'll actually be able to go in and help out with abilities. So I'm looking forward to that. Everybody has sounded like they've been having a lot of fun just goofing around. The whole time, the stuff that I actually have done with people has kind of been just goofing around.
Yeah.
It's been fun, to be quite honest. Like I mentioned the story last time where we had 4 of us using water gun on Opkalu while 3 of us were using sticky tongue to keep the Opkalu away from the people who were actually hitting it. And that was some hilarious crap. Yeah. It was just funny to watch. Granted, it was, like 4 a.m, so giggles were a little high out there anyway. But it was later than that because it was the first night, so it had to be like 6 or 7 a.m. But it was funny. And then I went out and I got bad breath, and there were people out there who had bad breath using it on the marbles. Sorry about that. And it's just ping ponging slowly between people, and everybody's alive because it can't make it to it. That's funny stuff.
It's goofy fun. It is goofy fun, and for me, I've never been for goofy fun. Like in an MMO, like I want to raid. I want to get better on the jobs that I've.
You just don't like fun.
I don't, and that has been said before.
No, he finds difficult things.
He's just, you're the raider. You're the raider. You want to clear the content,
and it's like that. It doesn't help me do that, and that's fine, because I can still goof off on it. I had hilarious fun leveling it and soloing dungeons, and that's fine. I love that. I would have been in that 4 a.m. group if I didn't have to go to work at 5 a.m. But that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue for this, and I've been kind of on the fence for the last couple of weeks on this, and I think I'm kind of leaning towards the dislike side. And I think that's because there's people that are already done with Blue Mage.
Yeah, certainly.
Even within the first couple of days, people had all the spells, they did all the carnival stuff, they did all the achievements, and that's it.
Wasn't Happy done by the time we did our last one? Or he had 1 spell or something.
He was almost done, I think. But he had already cleared Carnival, and it's if this were a normal job, at least I could take it into other stuff,
right,
and still use it. With Blue Mage, this is you get all the stuff in one patch, and then you're done, and you never touch it again, unless for some reason you want to get weekly poetics and allied seals and do the trials in Carnival. and it's just, I don't know, like you can't. There's some stuff, you know, as I've been going around, I've just been on blue as I go around and do stuff. Like, you can't take it into squadron dungeons. Like, why the hell not?
That is weird. Yeah,
that's
that
like
is
perfect
weird.
for learning stuff. If you want to go into like why? Like,
I'll give you that for oversight. You can have that.
I don't know.
There's the decisions to do this just seem stupid. Like, if you're going in to capped content, like if you're or level 50 content, why can't I queue up for an extreme primal on Blue Mage?
But you know what you do about that? You go to the forums.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I'll be curious to see what the feedback is.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're getting lots of different feedback from multiple places about multiple things, and I'm really curious to see what kind of adjustments they make to this. But I think my gut at the end of the day is a lot of this effort is wasted, and it should have just been a normal job. They could have easily made it to where get a quest, go fight a mob. Hey, you learned the spell. Everything's balanced. You have all the spells you need to have while still giving it elements of the Blue Mage. And then you can actually use it into content you want to play instead of going and grinding 2.x primals that nobody cares about anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of my feeling on it.
For me, I mean, personally, it would have to have a raise if I was going to raid on it. That's a different problem. But
yeah, and there's no raise. Ensuring that there will have to be at least one healer carrying every group of Blue Mages that wants to learn a spell.
They will probably get re-raise. Of all the people who are going to get re-raise, like we're talking about the future, they're going to get re-raise probably. I mean, that's an iconic kind of. To me, it feels very Blue Magey because it's something that breaks the rules of the game in other ways.
It's something that they're missing right now in their toolkit, and so it's got to be included.
It's awesome. Then you would have Blue Mages going re-raise, self-destruct, re-raise, self-destruct, and that would be funny.
Just for fun.
Just for fun. I think, actually, right now on this panel, are we... Fusion, you are dislike. Zenidra, you are like, and I'm kind of neutral. Did we really just do that? That's funny.
Right
we
down
run the spectrum.
The most... For me, the most useful thing... The thing that Blue Mage has been the most useful for me is, and I tweeted about this, I think it's like that first week. You know that lamppost sightseeing log?
Yes.
In Kugane?
Yeah.
So I logged in one night and there's just a dude on the lamppost. It's like, yo, if you're a Blue Mage and you self-destruct, I will raise you up on this SOP. And I'm like, done.
Yeah.
So I got it just because I had self-destruct on Blue Mage.
Yeah.
And I stayed up there. I was just up there and I'm like, I logged out there and in the morning I'm like, talking to my wife, I'm like, hey, did you ever climb the tower and get that sightseeing log? She's like, no. I'm like, log in right now. Well, because we've done the eternal bonding ceremony, so she just ring warped to me. But then I'm standing there. I'm not really doing anything that day. I'm like, you know what? Let's just pay this forward. Just
start.
Hey, if you want this, come on over, blow yourself up. I'll pull you up. One guy didn't have Blue Mage yet. Went to fight a Marble, got bad breath, warped in, switched to a level 1 job, and then died at the lamppost so I could raise him up. Like,
that's great.
That's hardcore. It was funny because he's like, oh man, like I don't have Blue Mage. Is there another way I could do it? I'm like, I don't know, like a poison potion or something. Like we're like talking. I'm like, I don't know how to get this to work. He's like, I'll be right back. And it's great. And so for me, like that's the most useful that Blue Mage has been for me. Otherwise, it's been interesting to mess around with.
Really enjoyed that experience. You're gonna have that memory of forever.
I mean, that's true.
Right, as Blue Mage being as the only thing Blue Mage is good for is dying to get a sightseeing log. That's the highlight of its usefulness.
I think they told us what Blue Mage is by just you were talking about it. They told us what Blue Mage is by the Mass Carnival and by how the job works. It's a sideshow. It is a sideshow for the rest of the content. Yeah, amounting to basically nothing, but it's something that's flashy and fun.
It is a thing that you can do.
Yeah. It is the Mass Carnival.
And I think I would at the end of the day I'd rather it just be a normal job. Yeah. That they would have put that time into something that is not done with after a week of playing it nonstop. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like if they had introduced another job right now, like when Ninja was introduced. Yeah. Anybody that, had Bard leveled, they already had a fully geared Ninja at 50. And you would run into the same thing. You know where I'm going though. Like
Your accessories are dex. Your body was monk.
Oh, but like
Yeah,
you know what I
right.
mean? Like you could prep that ahead of time. You'd have it fully geared and everything. And like yeah, but at the same time, like now that Blue Mage is done, it's like well, like I like this new job. What can I take it into? Nothing. Unless you're like going in just to help people do primals for some reason on a blue, or a couple carnival acts each week for the weekly. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
and it's just
Unless you can find people who are down for the carnival act and go into Bahamut, like because that's what I'm gonna do eventually. I would love to do that.
and that's a lot of people I've heard talk about that. They're like, we're just gonna go dick around in Coil and just see what happens, and that's fine, and that's great.
Yeah.
And you know, it's one of those things where you make your own fun.
Yeah. It really is.
And I get that, but it's just as a job, I don't like the limited job idea.
Yeah.
And I really hope they don't do more of this because it's like a one and done thing. You're like, all right, that was fun, and then in another patch they'll add stuff to it. It's just I don't know. I'm not a fan of that kind of design, I think.
Yeah.
I will say I agree with you. I think that they could have done the whole you hit a quest, you do the quest, you get the spell thing. I agree. I think that they could have made that work. But I also think that the spell set that Blue Mage has had across the entirety of Final Fantasy has been hugely varietous. Not a word.
Sure.
And I think that it would, because of that, it would make it difficult kind of to fit it into a job slot.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely.
And so that's why they decided to go a different route.
No, and I understand. That's a fair point. I mean, it's there's such a pool to pull stuff out of. What do you use?
I think if it had been missing stuff like Bad Breath, like if they're like, this is a DPS, it's just a casting DPS. I mean, they could have given you Bad Breath, but then you wouldn't have, I don't know, the bubble one.
Or
because if you do too many of those, you then become a support casting DPS, and it kind of breaks the mold that they have.
Well, they would not have given you White Wind, that's for sure. White Wind is
we've got Eggy Glamours. Give us spell glamours, right? If you want to use, you have all these spells. They do
too much
set stuff or whatever. Yeah. But if you want to change the
do
animation,
we have Eggy Glamours though?
I mean,
we have
kinda.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's like throughout the Mass Carnival. This is my proposal. Don't even make Mass Carnival. Make the job spells that you get along the way, and then make some extra ones that you can only get while you're max level that are fun and cool and old school Blue Mage and only work outside of raids. You're done. That's the job. You've got your stuff. You've got your fun stuff. You've got all of the Blue Mage abilities you ever wanted. Some of them don't work in raid. Yeah. I mean, it already works that way.
I would love for them to take what they have right now with Blue Mage, keep the side stuff, but then implement stuff that lets us use it on actual content that we want to play and that's actually relevant today. Yeah. Instead of stuff that was relevant 5 years ago. If
they do that, then I don't know a person who wouldn't love Blue Mage after that. No. After you can do it in content, I don't know anyone who would ever have a problem.
Cater it to both audience. Cater it to the side content audience, and then cater it to the people that want an actual job instead of this weird side content stuff. That's I think what they should do. And then they don't call it a limited job. Call it something else or whatever. Or it's just a new type of job. Like
I'm about to optimism all over this shtick.
Okay.
I mean, we don't know, and this is what all the optimists have been saying. We don't know that that's not what they're gonna do in the end.
It's true. We don't know. They haven't said
yes
or no yet.
I don't think so. Having said that,
no.
But it would be a great option, especially after how the community has shown that it feels. Like yes, people are enjoying this. Fusion is absolutely right. Once you get to the end, you're kind of done with it unless you enjoy soloing stuff. And some people do. Some people legitimately do.
That's true.
But make it viable for real content also by just taking out some of the stuff that's unnecessary for it. Pick a job slot for it and give it the spells that are important for that.
Yeah. And I think this is a question in whenever we get a chance to talk to Yoshida-san again. I think this is definitely a question that I want to ask, but it's also a question that in the back of my mind I know probably won't give us a good answer to. It'll be like it's one of those like never say never answers. I think is what we would probably get. Like,
probably.
Yeah, like we could, but it we don't know.
Maybe.
We'll see. And that's so.
Well,
I don't know, it's
you
like,
know, one of the things that I find interesting, and I was going to say earlier, and I forgot, but it just came into my mind because you were talking about giving the appropriate role stuff.
Mm.
How many people aren't slotting their role actions? Because Swiftcast is kind of ridiculous. Once you get Swiftcast, you have Thousand Needles.
oh yeah,
Like, you know, so many people that I've been seeing.
that's
don't put the
that
two
and
together.
I haven't been.
the other?
Thanks, Matt.
Right, you can slot
Right?
them.
Yeah.
That's awesome, right?
I don't mage, so I'm looking at some of these. I'm like, okay, don't need that.
Yeah.
That. That can give me MP. We'll throw that up there, and then
Yeah.
Swiftcast. That's it. That's all I've like. Surecast, like.
Eh, you know, like it can help, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's weaved in to the existing thing, but not really well. You know, like it's got those role actions, and some of them are okay, but I mean for the jobs that get the role actions, like when am I ever going to use Drain anyway? I use Erase all the time, like all the time. That's stupid. People get people getting the dot from the Mist Dragon, like Erase, you're good. That's fine, but you know, like
They're such a good friends.
well, I like pressing buttons. Makes me feel good.
My favorite reaction. This is a tangent, but my favorite reaction is when I use Mine.
Yeah.
Mine on somebody and erase something.
Yeah.
And a healer or the person is like, I forgot Bard could do that.
Yes, right. And Blue Mage has
That's
the
because
opportunity
Bards don't do that.
to have all of that. It has the opportunity to have all of these different, and then I'm not gonna, I guess, credit. There's a WoW YouTuber that I like, and he has this idea of moments of glory. Like your class, your job has to have these moments where you feel like no one else could have done that. Like that's something that's good for me. Blue Mage is rife with those opportunities. Like White Wind being on like a minute cooldown and only on one person. You know, like that would be awesome. Or only on yourself. Like so much opportunity for these moments to make it amazing, and it just didn't get there. And that's kind of why I'm neutral. I'm like, it's so cool, but it's not. But it could be, but I don't know. It's weird. Yeah. I'm in a weird place about it.
That's a nice thought process on that. It's like, you know, like Dragoon would just be like, the bards love me. Like that's their like,
you know, right. I feel like the moments of glory are the things that you're missing. Raising on a summoner, you know, erasing on a bard, or doing palisade, or you know, that sort of stuff that's clutch. I thought of it. It's something in my toolkit. It's awesome. I love doing that.
Oh god, I don't have a cooldown. Gotcha.
Yeah, Dragoons who elusive jump into the AoE that they have, you know, into the towers for Bahamut. See, or you know, like
this
that
goes
sort of
this
stuff.
goes back to the primal grinding. I did Shiva Extreme so much that I had my entire rotation timed so that I could elusive jump back into the fight after like one of the phases. Like, and that's cool to do that.
It feels great. And when someone sees it, you're like, oh, I mean, our ninja and our raid group is like every once in a while that cheeky Sakuchi out of something, and we're like, oh, that's awesome. You know, like it's just those cool things. And Blue Mage is just
slick son of a bitch.
Blue Mage is just the job of cool things. Why can't I use it in more places where I could show off these cool things? Maybe one day. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, we know at least right now they're planning on a level cap increase with 5.0.
It's going to go up.
What?
Level cap increase.
Level cap.
Okay.
We don't know what that's. We don't know what that's going to go up to. We don't know. Presumably new spells with that. We don't know how many or where they'll be from. You know, like I don't know if 5.0 hits and it's like, all right, 60. Now you have to get all the 3.0 primal spells and all this other. Like I don't know how crazy they're going to go with it, and I think a lot of that is probably going to depend on the kind of feedback that they get right now.
Approximately 2 spells per zone and 1 spell per extreme primal.
I mean, maybe, maybe. And you know, I'm curious if that's already mapped out, if they're already going to do that, or if it's they're waiting to see what the feedback is, just because of it being this kind of weird little thing off on the side that they've just introduced that we haven't really had before. It's probably planned. And then after that initial 5.0 addition, they'll say, okay, what has the community said? Then they'll start incorporating feedback into it. I mean, obviously there's some things they can incorporate feedback into already with you know, like drop rates and stuff like that, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know, I just feel a little hollow about it, you know. It's like, it's here and
it's there. I'm and you know, going into this, that was kind of my thought, is I'm just kind of like, but at the end of the day, I think I'd rather it be
potential.
something. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they could do with it. I would just rather have a normal job.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
And especially going around. When I was doing squadrons, because like I never actually did the rank up stuff the last time they added it. I'm like, oh yeah, like I should probably do that. And so I go in, I'm like, oh, like could I run some of these dungeons where the spells are like on Blue Mage? That'd be awesome. And I go into the menu and it's like, no, because reasons. And it's just like that would have been the perfect opportunity for Blue Mage to be able to do that, and they don't let you have it.
I think they're going to take some of this feedback because they are good at that eventually, taking the feedback and using it. And I think it's going to turn into something better as a base for the first limited job. Not super enthused, but we'll just have to see where it goes.
As it being the first limited job, it's overall it makes me not want more limited jobs.
Right.
Is the direction I go in. I want, if you're going to introduce a job, don't half-ass it. Give us a job, and I think that's where we're gonna end. That's like my period done discussion on Blue Mage.
One sentence.
My final just give us a real job.
Can we really say that they half-assed it though? Like I get what you're saying.
And that's a fair, maybe that's
fair
not
amount
the
of
right
work went into this.
Right, that's not the right term. It's because obviously probably more work went into this, right?
Yeah, definitely. What other job has the mask?
Theoretically,
it's like they started it with a job, and then they're like, all right, what can we take away from this to make it less relevant to the current content? That they just went backwards. They're like, all right, no matchmaking, no squadron dungeons, but grind old primals 100 times to learn spells.
Maybe they were just scared. It's in the middle of a patch, it's in the middle of an expansion cycle.
It's something new, and that's always the hardest thing to criticize, is because everybody is always complaining about the patterns of the patch cycles, right? This patch we get 1 dungeon, this patch we get 2 dungeons. It's always the same kind of thing. And we're like, give us something new. And then they give us something new, and it's like, here's Eureka, and we're like, oh, son of a, and then they're like, here's Blue Mage, and we're like, all right, maybe, it's just,
I mean,
it's
if you
hard.
compare the two, they're both very, very different kinds of content.
Yeah.
Well, right, and that's the thing, is they're trying.
Not very fun. Blue Mage is fun.
Okay.
It's less stuff, and it doesn't take as long, but it is fun.
Right.
Yeah.
I at least have to engage with it, because Eureka, I can never play a game where it's like, just watch Netflix and let it go. I'm like, then why don't I just watch Netflix? Like, why am I playing this game then?
Yeah, my defense of Eureka, God help me, is at least at least the time you're spending grinding is going to relevant content that's now, instead of grinding old content.
It depends, honestly. It might be relevant for 2 to 4 weeks for some players.
Yeah, I mean, it depends.
And
it depends on the
also
speed that you go through it.
And it depends on honestly, it depends on the gear itemization. I really haven't been very good about Eureka, because most of the gear that I have is better than that anyway. I don't need to bother. They're the very first one. What was the first one?
The
Animos.
Yeah.
I went in there and I got the Bard Body, because if you melded it, it was better than anything else you could get at the time. But right now, it's kind of like, I'm behind. Oh no,
Yeah, it's a catch-up mechanic.
So but for some people who don't raid especially, it is definitely the best way to get gear.
Yeah, and it's, we were just giving high praise to the Evilise 24-mans, because it has something for everyone. It's like, okay, it's a spectacle. It's beautiful. You also get gear that's kind of relevant if you're behind. It's also weaving into the story.
I mean, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Slightly behind. My group hasn't beat the last Omega yet. So that Bard Body, it's on tier with the one that would
drop from it.
It's one down from best in slot for me. Except that the itemization is better. So honestly, Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like,
it's as good as some people, or it's almost as good as you can get at this point.
right. So they have made content that is as close as you can get to good for everyone, and it's like they have ideas of doing that. You can apply that to like Eureka. Why isn't Eureka like that? You could have done it. It could weave into the main story more. It could. I mean, Kryle's like, no, who? Alice is like, hey, I thought you were at Eureka, and she's like, nope, and that's the end.
Well,
yeah.
so they did kind of weave it in. The problem is, and I mean, we still have a Eureka zone to go to kind of finish off this arc for Eureka, but it did weave in because it's like in what was it, at the end of like 2.x, I think, wasn't it, when the Isle disappeared?
Yes, that's true.
Like,
there is a
like Moonbrita came and went, and they're like, the Isle of Vol has disappeared, and we're like, well, that's weird.
That's not.
And
good.
then a whole expansion later, we have this Isle, and we get there, and Kryle shows up, and she's like, hey, this is that one thing, and we're like, oh, okay.
I don't know.
They still call it
what you guys
Eureka
thought.
after that.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys thought, but I thought they had assumed that it had been exploded.
Yeah, sure.
Like, to me, when I read The Isle has disappeared, it's because I thought that it had been just decimated by
somehow,
presumably the Garleans.
I thought it just vanished, I thought is what they said.
All right. I mean, they probably
know.
did, and I just interpreted it wrong. That's why I was asking.
They're like, you know what?
Are cool.
Koji's like, I love Lost. Let's just make that happen with the Isle of Vol. Like, we don't really know anything about it other than, like, Kryle came from there. Let's just, like, poof.
Yeah.
And then
the very
it'll show up
the very underlying
3 years
story,
later.
Yeah.
I guess it's not really underlying, but it's a strange. For me, it's sort of like a strangely implemented story because you have to actually work through these content. Like it varies every time. You have a little bit of level 3 levels here. Go and check this node thingy. We don't really tell you anything. 5 levels here. Check this node thing. Maybe we give you a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the parts where they actually do give you a chunk of story, the story is interesting.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how they wrap
I feel like
it
it's thin. It's very thin, though.
Like, because Blue Mage could have easily, and maybe it is, and it's just not doing it a lot. It could have easily led into the New World and how crazy things are over there, and like, hey, this is an ability. Like, one of the abilities you get from totems is like White Wind because there's a primal that's quizcotal or something, like just, and the lore from the abilities is great. Like, I know we haven't talked about that, but all the flavor text, awesome. I want that for every job. That's so cool. Just talking about how the Aether is manipulated to do this, and like, that's awesome. So I guess that's why I'm neutral. It's like, there's so much potential, and maybe, they'll listen to what we say, and then they're like, okay, well, people like this, so let's try and, do more of that.
And I think kind of like what we talked about too. I think any plans for 5.0 out the gate, those are already done. Those are already going to happen.
Yeah, certainly.
It's kind of like Eureka. When Eureka started, everybody had all this feedback, but they'd already started and they were already so far into the next one that really any feedback couldn't happen until the one after that. And I think that's what we'll see with Blue Mage. And it's just I'm really curious to see what kind of changes, drastic changes, they make to Blue Mage. Obviously, I would assume that at 5.0 or any Blue Mage patch where they add either more levels or more spells, older spells, I would assume would have a better drop rate after that point. So like once 5.0 hits, you won't need to do Shiva Extreme 100 times before you get that ability,
I would guess so, yeah.
But yeah, I'm really curious to see what it does, what it'll have in the future. And after that, I'm really curious to see if they would consider other limited jobs. I hope not, personally.
Yeah. I mean, they mentioned Beastmaster, right?
They mentioned Beastmaster. They mentioned Puppet Master. And I'm wondering if that's just because Yoshida doesn't like pet jobs. If he's like, people want it, but I hate these, so like just throw it out there, make them do something stupid on the side. It doesn't affect anything else. Maybe that's how this all started. I don't know.
I mean, I'm with him there. I hate pet jobs too.
Says the summoner.
Says the summoner, exactly. I know.
I don't think that they're going to increase the drop rate, personally.
Yeah.
And that's because, with the exception of the extreme primals, the drop rates really aren't terrible. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like I seem to recall them at FanFest saying that getting spells would just become more difficult as the item level increased.
I think maybe
it was that they would
familiar.
be more potent. One of those two, maybe both.
Yeah.
So
Both.
I don't I don't think they are going to increase the drop rate, but we can hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That'd be
We'll
nice.
find out.
Yeah.
I mean, they may just do it because they're looking at it now and going, "Ooh, that's actually taking a little bit longer than we meant to." So who knows?
And then you have Mr. Atma that's just like sitting there. He's like, ha 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 ha.
You have no idea.
This is exactly what I wanted.
Right.
Drinking our tears.
Well, at least they made it so that lucky people kind of affect the unlucky, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Because if somebody gets it, everybody gets it.
Exactly. I had the thought of the future, and I was like, there's going to be new stuff. And then my brain, as it always goes back to tactics, and I was like, are we going to be going into that 24-man and getting some of the abilities from Thunder God and Agrius? And then I'm like, nah, I'm in again. I'm good. There we go. And that's all I need. Give me Duskblade.
That would be so complicated, but also
Oh,
very
it would
fun.
be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
All right. Any final thoughts on Blue Mage here before we move on? I think we covered just about everything.
I think so.
We missed something, probably some.
Oh, I'm sure somewhere.
Somebody's going to be listening to this. Well, what about the one thing? I think we're good. I think we covered most of it.
Sure.
If not all of it. So next up, we have a little bit of sad news. We learned yesterday during the community team's Duty Commence stream that Lex Ferris is going to be leaving the community team. It was her last Duty Commenced. It's also her birthday. February 6th is her real birthday. For those of you who don't understand, there's this big thing where it's every day is her birthday. We always wish her happy birthday. It's a thing. Yeah. February 6th is her actual birthday. So if you do follow her on Twitter, make sure to wish her a happy birthday every day, but especially on February 6th. But yes, she is leaving the community team. And we don't know what she's doing. It sounds like she's moving out east somewhere, but we just want to give a shout out to her. It's always fun seeing her at events. She's always really cool to talk to and stuff. So you will be missed, and we wish you nothing but the best with whatever you got planned.
Success, baby.
Yes.
Our next episode, as we mentioned earlier, will be February 2nd at noon right here on twitch.tv/gamerscape. We will be talking about the keynote from the Paris Fan Fest. We will, at that point, by the time the show goes live, we should have the summary up. Lots of coffee for me that morning. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. We are still in the works of planning our February schedule. I don't know when we'll post that. Obviously, February 9th, we'll be talking about the live letter. That's the day after that episode. So it's just that's how it's going to work, which is fun.
Yeah.
Timing.
We're going to figure out what else we'll talk about for February. If you guys have any suggestions or stuff that you want to hear us talk about, you can do so by emailing us at aetheryteradio@gamerscape.com. You can tweet at us at aetheryteradio. You can also hit us up on Twitter and Facebook and Discord for Gamerscape at Gamerscape and discord.gg/Gamerescape. So let us know what you guys want to see. We're going weekly here. It's going to start to get a little rough trying to figure out what we should talk about. So if you have thoughts or if there's stuff you want to hear our opinions on for whatever reason, let us know, and we will work that into a future episode. So that's going to do it for this week. Thank you to Zanidra and Aldino for joining us, and we will see you guys here next week with FanFest.
Goodbye.
Bye.